dream come true. I'm sorry.
That's all right, I understand. You said you were going to play every day like it was the last, and that took you all the way through to the end.
Yeah. Good spring. Still, I'm going to celebrate tonight. But it's not done, I don't just want to get there. I want to stay there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, I am your co-host, Jared Pallo, along with Kyle Fry, my fellow co-host. And today we have a guest on the podcast, Steph Driver from Broad Street Hockey and Broad Street Hockey Radio. She's going to be talking with us about some Flyers news stuff, basically everything Flyers, as the season wraps up and maybe they can make the playoffs, even though that's a long shot. So yeah, Kyle, if you would like to introduce the Flyers topics.
Well, before we even start, please tell me Michael Neuvirth's going to be okay. Please.
Yeah, that was scary.
We're recording this on Saturday night, and Neuvirth just passed out. So obviously, this is going to be old news when this gets up on Monday. Jesus Christ, Monday. But yeah, just please, Neuvirth, be okay. That was one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen on TV, just ever.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump in because we were all watching together right before we started recording, and we were silent for full minutes. That was really scary.
I've never seen anything like that. Obviously the Pavlik thing happened a few years ago, and we mentioned this before we started recording. Everyone's just comparing it to the Pavlik thing because it's literally the same thing. But it was, I think he was still with the Atlanta Thrashers at the point. The Jets were still the Thrashers, so no one ever watched Thrashers games. So no one saw it on TV basically until they came out later. But yeah, one of the most scary things I've ever seen. Definitely during a hockey game at the very least.
Hands down. Yeah, hands down.
But, so, Flyers. We actually have good news to talk about for once with the Flyers. They signed Mike, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's very Italian, I'm assuming.
That looks Italian, yeah.
The college dude, the Union player who's, going to be best friends with Ghost for hopefully a very long time, signed with the team yesterday, and the Flyers have more forward prospect depth, so holy shit, finally.
I heard that he actually moved in with Ghost.
Yeah, same. Which is not surprising in the slightest.
No, it's pretty cute.
They're gonna be, that bromance with them is gonna be adorable.
How long did they play together? Was it just a year?
I have to imagine so. He started in 2013-14 with Union, so that would have been... Was Ghost even on in 2013-14?
Was that the year that they won? Was that the year that they won?
I am searching it right now.
I think
Viciously searching.
Viciously.
Yeah, you see, I'm not as caught up to date because I haven't been the biggest hockey fan, and I'm just starting to come around a lot more to it. So I wouldn't know probably half the stuff you guys are
that's
talking
okay.
Yeah, Union won it in 2013-14.
Yeah.
Steph Driver for the win.
Yeah.
Seriously,
just get all of our prospects from Union College.
Well, I wasn't very thrilled with this signing. I don't know a lot about the guy. Vicone. I'm terrible with pronouncing names.
I like to say Vecchione.
Yeah, let's go with that. But from what I hear, he's maybe a third-line guy, maybe a fourth-line guy on a talented team, which is not the Flyers now.
Yeah.
But we already have so many bottom six guys. I just don't know why they needed another one.
What I heard from, I think it was Charlie who tweeted this, he said that he's basically, the highest projection for him, I guess, is what Reed was in his first few years with the team. So I guess they're just kind of hoping that he replaces Reed after
that is what I've heard.
Leaves after the season.
Yeah, that's what I've heard,
Like,
that
I would
he's
assume
going
it's
to
be
be
that.
Matt Reed's replacement, but Matt Reed has another year left.
See, like, I don't know, because
Yeah,
I feel like they would just trade him at the draft if they could get, cause, like, knowing that they have him now, like the Vecchione or whatever his name is. Like, now that they have him, I'm assuming that they would look to deal him at the draft and then just have him slide in there and to replace him.
Trade Reed, you mean?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's not bad to have an upside of a Matt Reed when he was younger. I mean, he was one of our best players his rookie year, so it's not bad. I mean, he's still a good player. He's just had to change his game a little bit. I really like Matt Reed, so maybe I'll also like the new one, the new baby. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
The new one. That is so his nickname now.
The new one.
the new one. That could probably stick.
Well, the college free agent frenzy this time of year every year kind of drives me nuts, because
Same.
like they're undrafted dudes, and sometimes you can find some really great undrafted guys, but every year it's like 1, 2, 3 are the top prizes, and what do they really do? Last year it was Caligula, which is not his name, but I like it, so
Close
that's what I'm
enough.
going with. Or was that that was last year? VC, like, what are these
Yeah,
guys
like
doing?
BC only has 26 points. Like these guys aren't studs. Like
No.
they're made out to be the next great stars in the league, and then he puts up 26 points in 76 games. Like there's nothing special about that.
No, not really.
And I get that like it's his first year and everything, but like I can't see him turning into a 30 goal scorer in the league. Like I can't see that with him.
Right, so there's a reason that they're undrafted, and then when they come into the league, they're already in their early to mid 20s, so they're at minimum they're more physically mature than other rookies, but they went undrafted.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. Like teams still pass that player up, and there's a reason for that, obviously.
Yeah.
Just because they're the top college free agent, like, well, what do you, like, who are the players in that pool? There's always like one guy, so obviously the pool isn't that great if it's only one player that's getting singled out every year.
And there are legitimate star college players that do go undrafted and get picked up. Like that is a thing that happens, but it's nowhere near as frequent as people would lead you to believe.
Yeah, as the hype is basically
Right.
made out for them.
Right.
But otherwise, like, I mean, it's nice to see them address the need for forward depth, because Jared and I have said this throughout the whole freaking season. After the top 6, there's just no talent essentially on the roster. Like, you got Coots, you got Jake, you got G, you got Simmons, Shen, all those guys. And then it's just like, Chris Vandevelde. Like, wait, what? Where... Are we supposed to have, like, middle guys? Oh, right, we don't, actually.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Not to the middle guys, but the center depth. It concerns me, the players that they're going after, because they are, like, bottom 6 or middle 6. No one that has, like, a lot of talent. It's all the same type of players, and that's all we have in the system, and that's all we have on the ice right now. It's a little concerning.
Minus Konechny.
Well, Konechny is a special case. Oh, we got him in the draft.
And it was first round.
Yeah.
Who would have ever guessed?
Right. It's concerning,
Kind
and
of leads into, like...
oh, I was gonna mention
You go
Rubstov.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be good. Is he going to be a 1C? Probably not. Could he be a 2C? Maybe. It's looking like that's probably where he'll slot in with the team in a couple years, but that's probably, outside of Lindblom, probably our highest prospect in terms of forwards.
And we only got him last year in last year's draft. Mm-hmm. So, and I get like they needed to build up the defense. Like the defense was a huge problem for so many years. We needed to get guys like Sanheim, Hag, Moran even, and obviously Provy. But there comes a point where you have to be like, okay, hold on a sec. We got all the defensive prospects we really kind of need for the moment. Mm-hmm. Let's freaking address the forward depth because Giroux, Voracek, Simmons are not getting any younger.
Right.
Like, they're not old players, but they're in their prime right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, mid to late 20s. They're not getting younger.
And that's a problem when you have guys like, and it's granted, Sanheim, Myers, Hag, some of those guys might be up next year because I don't think they're going to let Andrew McDonald stay on the starting lineup next year.
Oh, he'll be around next year. We'll probably see two
Dave
of them
Haxall
next year.
Make sure of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long shot this year for him to be in Las Vegas or Lehigh Valley, the other LV. So I just don't think that they'll do it next year, only because, like, if for no other reason, to have your starting defense be, let's say, two rookies. So I'm just gonna pick names. So let's say Sanheim, Moran, and then Provorov is in his second year, Ghost in his third year, Gudis. You need somebody that has a veteran presence. So, Gudis, yes, but he's still young.
He's like 26, isn't he?
I thought he was like 23 or 24.
Oh, I might be wrong.
Man, he could grow a beard then.
Yeah, I thought he was younger.
I was right. He's 26.
All right, so I'm wrong. Maybe he was 23 at the time of the trade. And then maybe that just stuck with me. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was 2014-15, so yeah, that's 3 years ago.
All right, so I'm just pretending like time doesn't pass for him.
Radko is eternal.
But, I mean, they'll need somebody that, I mean, veteran presence in the locker room at minimum. I don't see Hextall being the GM that will ice 3 rookies, a defenseman in his second year, a defenseman in his third year, and Gudis, who's, in his 5th or 6th year? Which, I guess, I mean, he's a veteran, but I just don't see it.
It's just hard to, like, think of him as a veteran because he just hasn't really played a ridiculous amount of games. And, like, the season that we got him, he was hurt for, I don't know how many games it was that year, but he was hurt for a good amount of it. Mm-hmm. So it's...
he was already out for the season, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we got him, it was just like, everyone just kind of thought of it as, oh, well, we're getting this defenseman, and then we're getting the 2 draft picks for Coburn. It wasn't, like, Gudis was such an afterthought, and now he's...
Yeah, he was the throw-in.
Arguably the best defenseman on the team.
Well...
He's pretty much the Jared Eichhoff to the deal.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, just the throw-in at the end that everybody is like, oh, you know, like, just whatever, like, he's all right, but he's not going to, like, come in to do anything. And then until he does, he doesn't get any attention. And then when he does, everybody's like, holy shit, this guy's actually decent.
Yeah.
Right, Radko Gudis and Gerard Eichhoff, the holy shit, they're actually good players.
Yeah.
But to go into something that I wanted to ask you specifically, Steph, you made a few tweets a while ago that was about basically judging Dave Haxtell on the job he's done.
Yeah.
So, should we be happy with Dave Haxtell in any sense?
No. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to react to the game.
No, I see it now. Holy shit.
They just, I don't know who it was, but just leveled Corey Schneider. I don't know who it was. I'm sorry.
Kutz's helmet is off, so I'm kind of... Oh, Simmons is about to knock a bitch out.
Oh.
Some live action game calling.
I called this, Jared.
This is gonna be
yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, we both called it. We both called it. I mean, it's like you know, it's part of it. Who cares at this point? Like we're already rolling with it.
So
exactly.
Back to
I'm just seeing this. I'm just seeing it.
Yeah.
He did get leveled. That's
Like I couldn't not react. I'm sorry.
Jesus, his head got like...
Oh! Well, no,
What
it's
the
because
hell?
Kateria got clotheslined.
Yeah, what the shit? Okay, CSN, that is like the worst camera angle I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
New Jersey, I don't think putting a player into your goalie, who is the reason that you were even in like somewhat contention for like most somewhat of the year,
Yikes.
is not a good idea.
Yikes. Can we stop injuring goalies and
Please.
like this game, can we not have any more goalie injuries? I would like that a lot.
Game just gets called because this game is too dangerous for goalies.
Yeah, like we just can't.
Who knew a Flyers Devils game could be so interesting?
I never did.
I love how he shoved them into Schneider and then he got on top of him. He's like why are you hitting
Why the
my
fuck you
goalie?
hit my goalie, bro? It's like, I didn't do it. You did.
Oh God.
Wow.
So, Dave Hackstall,
Yeah, he's not.
Did I ruin it?
No, I think you're fine. I see that you just kind of like fell out of the call for a second. I think
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
it's okay.
Sorry. Okay.
So,
So,
Dave Hackstall.
Dave Hackstall. So the question was, should we be happy about anything? Well, he manages to put on a shirt, tie, and jacket every day. I just, to look for positives, I guess Provorov and his usage of Provorov, and at least acknowledging that Provorov is the number one defenseman on the team, that's a positive. As far as everything else, I think that it's been a lot of just the little things that looked at individually, not a big deal. But then when you start to look at the season as a whole, it's a lot of really questionable decisions, from the goalie usage to the rookie. I'm going to say hazing. I don't know what other word to use. The accountability, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand what he's doing. No, I know, I'm fully aware that I'm not an NHL coach, and maybe I don't need to know what he's doing, but I do know, and I do need to know, that he's icing the best team possible every night, and he hasn't been doing that, and he's also not winning games. His team isn't winning games. So there's a lot of speculation about, whether it's the player's fault or whether it's the coach's fault. Some people are even looking at Hextall, about whether he's giving him the best team. And really, you need to break down what each grouping is responsible for. So the coach is responsible for communicating to the players, communicating to the GM, communicating to the assistant coaches. He's responsible for player usage and deployment. He's responsible for the schemes and the plays that are actually supposed to be happening on the ice. Ice time. What else is a coach responsible for? I'm blanking because I know were these the tweets that you're talking about?
Probably, like, the ones that you just mentioned, like, where you literally listed the, what are they responsible for?
Right. So then, the players are the ones that are responsible for execution. They are the ones that are actually scoring the goals. No, Dave Hackstall is not going to score any goals. Well, you know what? The team that he's putting on the ice isn't really doing that either. The players are responsible for pretty much that. Like, they're supposed to play the game. They're responsible for winning, but winning is what everybody is responsible for. The GM is responsible for trades, contracts, the making sure that the system meaning the Flyers prospect system is being leveraged from the AHL to the ECHL all the way up to the NHL. And he's going to be responsible for the 20-ish man roster, 20 man roster. I'm terrible tonight. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. I think like 23 is the
terrible
max.
every week.
All right, so he's responsible for that. So he dictates who Dave Hackstall has to play with. That's what Ron Hextall does. Now, how Dave Hackstall puts these guys on the ice, that's all him. And I don't think that he's done a good job this year.
And I agree. Like, it started with the Ghost benching, and at least, again, like, the first time that he benched Ghost, I could at least understand his reasoning for it. I didn't agree with it at all, but you could at least say, okay, he's just trying to get a young player, like, motivated more, like, hey, do better than what you've been doing. Ghost still wasn't even playing that bad during that stretch, which, again, like, he didn't deserve to be benched.
Right.
Like, there's no if and or buts about it. He didn't deserve it. But I at least understood it. Like, I see where Hackstall's coming from. And then he's just like, nope, I'm going to pair you with McDonald. Then I'm going to bench you again because you're not performing. Then I'm going to bench Konechny even after he scored like a 2-point night.
Yep.
And then he did it. Didn't he bench Konechny twice, or am I just imagining things?
It was a couple games in a row.
Oh, yeah. And then he like returned against...
Yeah, and then he got
He
hurt.
returned against San Jose, and then he scored. Because... And I remember being so pissed about that, because I was like, God damn it, he actually thinks that he's responsible for that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Dave. You're just...
I think you're right. I think he was scratched earlier in the season, too.
It was... I forget. Like, I've lost track.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. I've lost track of how many times he's benched some of our best players.
Yeah. Well, for me, it actually started when he benched Raffle earlier this season. Like, that's...
Oh, I forgot about that. Like,
Yeah.
that's not even, like, registering because of all the other things.
Right. So it was... You bench Raffle, and that doesn't make any damn sense because he's your best play driver. He, aside from Couturier, he's your best defensive forward. What are you doing, Dave Hackstall? So he benched Raffle, which made no damn sense. And then it wasn't long afterwards that he scratched Ghost. Like I just doing this stuff doesn't even make any sense.
I don't understand this season. Like,
No?
This has been one of the weirdest seasons that I've ever witnessed. Like, I've been watching the Flyers since, like, at least, like, 07, 08, and I can't remember a season where, like, the whole season just did not make any freaking sense.
Yeah.
10-game win streak, benches best player, puts best defenseman, best rookie defenseman, and probably they're both Provorov is the best defenseman on the
Easily,
team, and
yeah.
he's the best rookie. Yeah. And then he puts him with the obviously the worst defenseman on the team. I don't get it. And then the team sucks, and then he's just like, oh, well, you know, players got to be held accountable, even though I'm putting Chris Vandevelde on the third line or fourth line and playing him like he's a first-line center. What the fuck has this season been?
I don't know. It has been a clusterfuck. Like, that's what this season has been. I don't have any answers. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. This whole accountability thing is bullshit because it's only like 4 or 5 players that have to be accountable for one bad play. Like, that seems to be all it is that gets you scratched for the next couple games. So I don't know. I think that...
Could you imagine...
I just think it's a mess.
Could you imagine Dave Hackstall coaching Braden Coburn?
Could
Like,
you
Coburn was-
imagine Dave
Like,
Hackstall
good Lord.
coaching Scott Hartnell?
Oh my God, Hartnell will never see the ice.
Never. Like,
good
there'd probably be
fucking
a
Lord.
fist fight in the locker room. Like, I just... or like Richards and Carter,
also
could you imagine?
Oh my God. Richards and Carter would... Okay, for one, Richards would have been stripped of the sea like 1 game in under
Immediately.
Hackstall. Carter would have been traded. Like Hackstall would have been like, I refuse to coach this man. Trade him for like a sack of potatoes. I don't care.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't understand this season, and to go for one thing that you said, is Ron Hextall to blame at all for this? Because I know you said about how he, like, the argument has been made, oh, well, he's working with what the players that he's been given. Mm-hmm. Which, I understand that. But at the same time, you have to manage the players that you have in a smart way, and that's not what he's done.
No, I agree with you. So where I hold Ron Hextall accountable is his veteran talent assessment. So I think that he's really good at drafting. I think he's really good at finding players from ways where you wouldn't typically find them. So from college, from Europe, from the KHL. I think that he's really good, and the scouting team is really good at that. I highly question his assessment of veteran talent. So Dale Weiss for 4 years. What the fuck is that? And then
I feel so bad that I defended that signing. Like, I just, that was a very cold take.
I mean, at the time, it was like, all right, well, it's probably a little too long. It's probably a little too much money, but it's not terrible. Right now, it's fucking terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. And we've got 3 more years of this guy. Now, he's not the worst player on the team by any means, but 4 years? No, I don't want that. And then he re-signs Belmar, which I really like. I really like Belmar, the human being. I really like Belmar, the hockey player. I do not like Pierre-Edouard Belmar as a third-line center.
Or as some people refer to him as during like that 10-game win streak. Oh, he's a second-line center because he shut down McDavid.
Yeah. No, he's not that. He's a fourth-line winger. He's very good defensively. He's not a PK specialist. He's not a center. He's good on the wing, and he's good defensively. That's it. And he's 30-something, 31, and he just got extended for 2 years. Fine if you use him as your 13th forward, which is not what Hackstall is going to do. What other? Boyd Gordon, well, that was just a year, so that's fine. Who else? It's just, there's been a lot of really weird... Oh, and then Neuvert. So Neuvert got this 2-year extension. And Steve Mason is just kind of chilling.
Mason doesn't even get, like, a talk of an extension. It's just like, oh, you're still here? Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah, no, I've heard that the Flyers haven't even reached out to his agent about an extension.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I heard that, and that was directly from Mason too, which really pissed me off. That Mason was just like, yeah, they haven't even talked to me about it. Yeah. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? He's been your best goalie all year, and that's not debatable anymore. Like, I hate it when people still act like Neuvert is like, oh, well, he's kind of better than Mason. Shut the hell up. He's not anywhere near Mason.
No, and
Mason's
he's been the better goalie. He is, and he's been the better goalie throughout his whole career here. He's been a good goalie for Philadelphia, and they're kind of treating him like crap, and I don't like it at all. I also don't think that he wants to be here.
I don't blame him. Like,
no, I don't either.
I hope he wins a cup with whoever next year.
Yeah, I don't think that if they gave him an offer, I don't even think that he'd accept it. I don't think he wants to be here.
They would have to give him a...
It would have
to
give
him a boatload of money.
It would have to be a boatload of money for a long time.
And I don't want them to do that as much as I love him.
Exactly. Like, 2 years would be perfect, but Steve Mason's going to want more. What worries me and, like, upsets me is that I don't think he's going to get it in free agency. I don't think that there's any team... He's, like, still looked on in the hockey world as the goalie that he was in Columbus for those 2 years that he was bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, even back then... I went to town for Mason in those 2 years when he was in Columbus. I liked him ever since he had that Calder winning season in 08-09. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is one of my favorite goalies in the league. And everyone just was like, nah, he sucks. Comes to Philly and he's like the best goalie we've had since Hextall, and it's like, told you, motherfuckers.
I love the "I told you so" moments.
It's so great, especially when it's with Mason, because he's such a sweetheart, and I love him.
I know, and if he doesn't get the money and the contract that he's looking for, which I don't think that he will. What I'd love is for them to bring him back and say, all right, well, you didn't get what you were looking for. How about 2 years, $5 million? Let that be that.
And hopefully Neubert gets claimed by Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Please be stupid. Please be stupid.
Exactly.
Vegas, just please. And speaking of Vegas and the whole expansion draft, what do you think happens? Who is gone next year? Who gets claimed? And just what do the Flyers even do in the offseason?
Well, hopefully not shit the bed. I would say,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, here's hoping. I think that they'll take probably Scott Lawton. They may take Delzato if he's not protected. They do. I know that he's not under contract next year, but they do. If Vegas takes a UFA, they get, I think it's a 24-hour or 48-hour negotiating window. So it's like they take his rights. Like, you know, how teams will trade for them.
It's like what happened with the Brizgalov thing when the Flyers did that whole disaster.
Right. So they trade for their rights, kind of. And then if that player ends up not signing a contract with Vegas, then Vegas gets to select another player from that team. So I feel like Delzato could be a really good option for them. He is a veteran defenseman. He's still young enough to stick around for a while. He's pretty good. He hasn't been good this year. I think last year was the fluke. But I think that he could be a good option for Vegas, and that's if he signs. But everyone keeps mentioning this salary floor that they need to get to, so that's how they're going to do it, is picking up guys that are not on their entry-level deal. Players are exempt, but guys that are going to require a little bit more of a payday. And that's what he's going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for term. He's going to be looking for money. They're not going to give it to him here, nor should they. So I think that he could be a really good option. Now, maybe Michael Neuvert, but I don't think that that's likely to happen.
I can't imagine that.
I mean, he's 30 years old, or 29. He's injury prone. I hate saying this after we watched him go down the way that he did tonight, but it just...
Yeah.
George McPhee did draft him, right? This is who I'm talking about, the right person?
Yeah.
Or rather, I used the right name, like I'm bad with names. So I know he drafted him, but then he also traded him away. So if you're going to use the argument that he drafted him, you're going to have to, say the other half too. I don't know. I think Scott Lawton could be really good in a team that's not Philadelphia. Who else?
I think there are a lot of guys like that.
Well, he's just not going to really get his shot here because we have too many bottom six forwards. There are too many of them. He's too good for the AHL and not quite good enough to crack this roster. Maybe with a change of scenery, some different chemistry with players. Maybe. I'm trying to think of who else would be left unprotected. Jordan Wheel is a really interesting predicament. They may end up protecting him. Who knows? I'm thinking Taylor Lear is another one, but I don't think that he's going to have enough pro experience for Vegas to want to take him.
Yeah, he's only played I think it was like 9 games maybe this year, if that.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think he played that many, and I did like basically just a sim of it on Cap Friendly, and they have the Flyers protecting Lawton. They have them protecting Lawton, Simmons, Couturier, Filppula, obviously, Shen, Voracek, and Drew. and then defensemen Delzato, Gudis, and Ghost, obviously. And then protecting Neuvirth, which I can't see them protecting Neuvirth when Stolarz could get selected, but...
No, they're going to protect Stolarz. I think Hextall even said that they're going to protect Stolarz.
Yeah. So, out of that, I think I would rather them just protect Wheel than Lawton, because Wheel has been so good, already this year, and I can't imagine them saying, nah, we didn't like it enough what you saw that we were going to protect Lawton over you.
No, I don't think that they protect Lawton at all, actually. And I am surprised to not hear... Did you say Cousins on that list?
No, it's Lawton. Lawton's, the last player out of, because obviously the main ones are Simmons, Couturier, Filppula, Shen, and Voracek and Drew, and then it's Lawton's basically the extra forward.
See, I would protect Raffle too, because he's another one that Vegas might want to take. I really like Michael Raffle. I like what he brings to the team. I like what he brings to the NHL. I think that they would be foolish to leave him unprotected, but they'd be foolish to leave most of those guys unprotected. You could take the rest of our defense except for Provorov, Ghost. You can take Gudis. I don't even care. You can take the whole defense except for those two, but the forwards are a little bit more tricky.
Yeah. The forwards are where it's going to be tough for them, but
yeah.
I think if you're going to protect anyone out of the guys who aren't protected in the list that I said, like you said, either Raffle or Wheel, and that's about it, because the other guys are Reed, Weiss, that's cute, Boyd Gordon, Cousins, and then it's just shit from there on, basically.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Jordan Wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they keep him, just because, again, he's looked so good already this year, but
and
it's
I think
the Flyers, and we know how they are.
I know. I think that he's also pushed Cousins further down the depth chart, which is okay with me, because I was never really high on Cousins anyway.
And there's that whole thing that Cousins did, which, meh.
Makes him like a shitty person. Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't want shitty people on my team.
Exactly. It would be nice to have not shitty people on your team.
It's pretty good.
But, yeah.
I love non-shitty people on my team.
That needs to be, just the theme for Flyers fans. Can we just not have shitty people?
The group that we have is pretty okay.
Yeah. Drew grabbed a cop's butt one time, but that's...
Yeah.
That was a very fun time.
Maybe not so much for the cop.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Maybe it was fun for the cop.
Well, he got arrested for it, so I would imagine if the officer liked it, that he wouldn't have arrested him.
Who knows anymore? I don't know how the world works anymore. Maybe the cop was like...
I have no answers to anything.
What has this episode become?
Sorry, guys. This is what I do.
I'm not sure.
It's okay.
I take things wildly off track.
It's okay. I think Steph and I are just out of it, and then Jared's just like, "Hi, guys."
I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. I would rather people that know about hockey and know and have been following this team for multiple. Well, don't get me wrong. I've been a Flyers fan for since I remember, but I never followed them like I'm trying to now. And I would rather people that have followed them and know things about them that are relevant information to talk, and not me, because I'm not. I don't know too much.
Now's a good time
Sean
to.
Couturier is a good player, so
That's really all you need to know.
I do know that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, this is a good time to get into the Flyers, because it's not going to get worse than this. So if you started, started watching,
don't jinx it.
Well, you're right. Right. If you started watching after their Cup run in 2010, then I could see how you'd be disappointed and wouldn't be as into learning about the prospects as we are right now. But shit's bad, so we've got to have something to look forward to.
that 2010 Cup run. I don't know if you were on like the Flyers Facebook page at the time.
No.
Oh dear lord, that page was so fun. Like most people that are great now on Twitter, they were all on Facebook at the time and on that page, and it was oh my god, it was amazing just to go on there during games. And then after the Cup run, you had all like the bandwagon fans who came in, and you're just like, oh dear lord, what are these people?
Yeah. Then
Like,
Facebook
it's what
actually
it is
took
now on
over.
Twitter. Oh my god, like it's so random, but that was such a fun page when the Flyers, like it was like it was the like right after the Cup run, and then for the most part of like 2010-11, and then it went so bad, and then the bandwagon just took over. It's like the Phillies after their NL East dominance, but so. After the past couple of games and just how the season's been going, can they make the playoffs? As I can't say that with a straight face.
Oh God, no! I've counted them out since like the end of January. Like, there's absolutely no way.
Same.
There's.
Yeah,
I think that if they lose tonight, they are mathematically eliminated.
you might be right. They're 7 points out now, and there's no way Toronto or Boston is losing that second wildcard spot.
Well, I know Boston won today.
Yeah, so Boston is in third now in the Atlantic. Toronto is second wildcard.
Hold on, let's see. Toronto's tied at the moment.
Speaking of Toronto, we're rooting for them in the playoffs, correct?
What was that?
We're rooting for Toronto in the playoffs,
Oh
right?
God, yeah. No, the team with all my tiny adult sons. Oh my God, yeah. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner. Yes, they're my playoff team.
Absolutely. I've watched so much Steve Dangle this year, and I'm just like, God, wouldn't it be fun to have all these players?
Oh my God, just even one of them. So Austin Matthews is incredible. I think that he's already one of the top 3 players in the league, and it's his rookie year. In his first game in the NHL, he scored 4 goals. Like, that's...
Who does that?
He scored four goals in, like... It was before a minute into the second period or something like that. Like, it was insane. Mitch Marner is possibly the most fun little nugget that I've ever seen on ice ever. Like, he looks like a kid that is actually living his dream, and he plays like it. He's just... I joke all the time that I want to put him in a backpack and just carry him around with me, because I just think that he's the most fun. I just think that he's a lot of fun. The way that they were able to rebuild is not a thing that we're going to see ever again, I don't think.
It is legendary. Yeah. Like, that is... Like, I've said this so many times to people. People think the Flyers' rebuild is good. Toronto's is good. I can't even explain it. They turned the worst team in the NHL
Theirs
for basically
is
back-to-back...
Cubs
Yeah, they're Cubs good. Like, they turned the worst team in the NHL 2 years in a row, basically, into a powerhouse in one season. Like, it's literally just one season. Like, all these players are in their rookie year, basically. Like, they still have Kadri, Komarov is there, of course, Morgan Riley, but, like, Jesus Christ, like, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Connor Brown has, like, a 20-goal season, and everyone's just like, who the fuck is Connor Brown?
Yeah.
What?
Who's that guy?
Zach Hyman? Like, any other year, everyone would be like, holy shit, Connor Brown, really good rookie. This year, it's like, who?
Yeah. No, the Leafs, they probably won't make it very far in the playoffs, but...
Yeah, I doubt it.
I don't care. They're going to stick around for the next few years because look at what they've done.
It's going to be like the early 2000s where it was like Flyers, Leafs, and the playoffs at some point, like every single year.
Yeah. Well, let's hope the Flyers get
Except
good
this time
again.
we won't have Keith Primo to shut him down. So, if once the Leafs get kicked out, because again, like you said, they're probably going to be gone in like the first or at the very most the second round. Who's left? Because I don't want anyone from the Metro winning, honestly. Like I hate Columbus at this point. Like I know everyone's like, oh, little old Columbus, they're so cute, and I'm just like, no, I hate. Just
I don't.
Tortorella's is such a prick.
No, I hate him. I hate him a lot.
Yeah.
And I hate that what he's doing right now is successful. Like, I hate that a lot.
Same.
So, really, the Capitals?
Yeah. I want Ovi to get a ring.
Well,
Yeah.
Because
But
it's Ovi.
just one, and then they can go away forever.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
but we all forget it is playoff Washington.
That's
So.
really true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
So they'll be gone in 2 rounds at the most.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or they'll just lose first round. You know?
Yeah.
Are they going to play Pittsburgh? Is that going to be the first round? Probably. No. No. I'm making things up.
No. They get... At this point, they would get Toronto.
Oh, no.
Which... That would be a fun series, though.
Yeah, it would.
Like, can you imagine, like... Oh, my... Jesus. Okay, I actually want that to happen. Even though the Leafs would just get curb stomped. Like, that would just be amazing to watch.
I'd go down
'Cause
to
it would
Washington.
be like 8-5 every game. Oh my god, true.
I'd go down to Washington with my Austin Matthews jersey that I have not bought yet, but I'm going to. I'd do that.
Like, I have never wanted to buy another team's jersey so much more than I do with the Leafs. Like, I would just want, like, one of the great rookies, Marner, Matthews, Nylander. Just one of them.
Yeah, I am before the season's over. I'm going to buy a Matthews jersey, probably a Marner shirt. While I love him, it's not quite jersey worthy. It's not quite worth the $150 or whatever it is.
Hockey jerseys are ridiculous.
They are.
Like,
So I work in the
got, like,
same building as Fanatics, like Fanatics.com, but what they do in my building is all of the merchandising and all like the photo shoots for the website and for the catalog. So every single jersey for every team ever is just sitting in a room behind glass that's locked, and I walk past it every day. I'm just like, none of these are mine. It's torture.
it's like, could we get free jerseys because we work in the same building as you?
Right. Like, please, or even a discount. Like, give me an employee discount, and that would be cool.
See, I work at Walmart, so no. I don't even think they know what hockey is.
No,
there.
probably not.
Probably not.
There's like Steelers and Eagles things like constantly, and it's not even football season. I'm just like, is there any hockey? Nope, no hockey. Okay.
No. Because it's football season all year round here.
Yeah, which just fuck the NFL. I'm just
Agreed.
not.
Agreed.
Ugh.
They're bad.
It's nice that we all agree with that. Like, Jared and I have talked about this before. Like, we barely ever mention football, and when we do, we're like, oh, we're actually talking about football for once.
The Eagles did something.
It's not enjoyable anymore.
It's not.
And like,
it's really not.
that sucks. Because I used to really like football, but it's just not fun to watch anymore.
Yeah, people wonder why football took like such a drop off, and it's just like, well, because maybe they just pounded it down our throats for like 10 years in a row, and now like nobody wants it. Because like you look at like all these like major broadcasting networks, and it's just like all day it's just NFL stuff, and you don't see like any baseball, any hockey, any basketball. I mean, you see basketball and stuff, but it's just like majority NFL like year round, and and nobody wants to like just have one thing just like repeatedly shouted at them like all the time. So it's just like that's why nobody wants to watch it anymore, because like you see it just year round.
Yeah, and not just on TV, but on the radio, online. It's just it just never ends. It never ends.
It's just, yeah. And it's like, here's how it goes. It goes football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and hockey's like below everything. There's no hockey coverage anywhere besides like NHL Network.
No, that's like, if there's nothing else in the world to talk about, fine, we'll mention one single thing that happened in hockey this month.
Sidney Crosby breathed, so there's your hockey news for the day.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap up on hockey and Flyers in general, I just wanted to hear your opinion on the USA women's hockey. It's not really debacle anymore because they got it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But it was pretty just fucked up for a while.
It was really fucked up for a while, but like I do think that it made USA Hockey look really shitty, and even though they came to terms, I don't think that that's really saved face of USA Hockey. I think that they're still going to have this kind of shadow hanging over them for the foreseeable future. So the women's hockey team have won every year that they've competed at an international level. They've won a medal. USA men's hockey is fucking terrible. They're really bad.
Because they think the team is still in 2010.
Well, I would even say, like, the coaches that they hire are bad. All right, so they had Bilesma for the Olympics, whatever year that was. And, like, okay, but Bilesma can't win shit. He's got a cup, but that wasn't his team. I mean, it was, but he wasn't there for long. But Bilesma sucks.
And he was a dumpster fire ever since.
Yeah. And then Tortorella sucks. Like, whatever. The men's hockey team is bad. It'll be better when they have Austin Matthews. But the women's hockey team was a consistent powerhouse. And they were treated just wildly differently, from the amount that they got paid to insurance. Like, these women were playing uninsured. To being required to everybody relocate and be in the same central area called centralizing for 6 months prior to an event. But you're also saying it's not my job, so whatever job I have making money, I have to quit because you need me to come and train for 6 months, but you're not going to pay me. Like, it was really shitty. And they also, like, part of USA Hockey's mission, I guess, is to create, I can hear an echo and it's distracting me. Like, I can hear my own voice. Part of USA Hockey's mission is to create programs and to move the sport forward for youth, like youth programs. And they were putting millions of dollars into boys' youth programs, but nothing for girls. So that has all been fixed. Like, there are plans in place for girls' youth programs. The women are now insured, and they're happy with what they're getting paid. And it's closer. If it's not exactly what the men are making, it's closer to it. There are accommodations. They're now allowed to use the men's USA Hockey facilities when they weren't before. They've made big strides. Like, everything that the women were asking for, they got. But the way that these women banded together is incredible. So not only was it the professional women's team that were going to boycott the Worlds, IHF Worlds, but also the under-18 team and the entire USA prospect system. They were all going to boycott. They all said no when USA Hockey was trying to find replacement players, when they didn't think that they were going to come to terms with the strike, with the women who were striking. And then USA Hockey was reaching out to college players, to high school players, to beer league players. They were reaching out to any woman that has ever been part of the system ever, and they all said no. Like, this is... I don't want to overstate this, but possibly something that we've never seen before. This is the opportunity to play for your country. This is what you get into sports for, especially when you're a woman, because that's the highest competitive level that you can play at when you're representing your country in the Olympics or in world championships. And you're saying no to that. You're saying, no, I'm not going to cross the picket line. I am not going to turn my back on what these women are standing for because we want the next generation to do better than we did. That's fucking incredible.
I completely agree with everything you just said. Like, I couldn't say it better myself, and it's... again, like you said, I don't think we've ever seen something like that where a whole... Like, everyone declined.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they had any, like, even a chance to get replacement players. They were all just like, no, pay these women what they deserve, or you're not getting us. Like, that's not how it's going to work. You treat them the same way you treat the men, and that's how it's going to be.
Exactly, and even the players who were never going to get a chance to play at an international level, and this was, like, their one shot to live their dream. Like, imagine how appealing that is. Like, you've been practicing and playing your whole life, knowing that you're good, but you're not quite going to get to that level, and then you get the phone call. Like, imagine what that feels like, and then to say no. Like, holy shit.
You gotta have some guts to say that, because, like, of course everyone's main goal, again, like you said, if you're a hockey player in any sense, your main goal is to play internationally, play for your team in one of the biggest stages.
Yep.
To say no because I'm standing up for what's right, and I'm standing up for justice for these people, like, that's... I can't even imagine how... maybe, like, difficult that was for them, and just... But how, like, satisfying it is to see that, like, it worked out. Like, them saying no made a difference.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I'm happy that everything worked out the way that it did.
And now hopefully they can kick ass in Worlds, and
they beat Canada last
like,
night.
Yeah.
Oh, Friday night. We're
Fucking...
recording Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. America. That is the theme of it.
As long as you beat
America.
Canada, you're fine. Like, as long as you beat Canada in hockey, like, it doesn't matter who else you beat. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you beat Canada, it's like, oh, you lost to whoever? Who cares? It does not matter.
Exactly. It's just pretty much Canada. And all their great news, Jordan Wheel scored again.
Nice.
It's always nice when Jordan Wheel scores. He's so nice. Just hopefully they keep him.
Hopefully.
But it is the Flyers.
It is the Flyers.
Yeah, and we all know how the Flyers are. They are a team that has been making questionable roster decisions for the entirety of their history, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I think that wraps it up for everything Flyers. Unless either you, Steph, or you, Jared, have anything else to add, then I think that's basically it.
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you so much for having me on. I think that I overstayed my welcome and talked way too much. Thank you so much.
No, you are perfectly fine. It's the point of having a guest.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Steph.
Thanks for coming on. So just again, thanks to Steph Driver from Broad Street Hockey for coming on and talking Flyers with us. I learned a lot about hockey because I, like I said, am not in the loop as much as these two are in Flyers stuff. Like, I know about them and stuff, but I would rather other people with more knowledge than I speak. So, like, so now to move into the move from the Flyers into the Phillies.
Flyers into
which
Flyers.
I know a lot about. I do know a lot about the Phillies. Thankfully. So, the 25-man roster is complete. I am a psychic. So, okay, here, first, before I boast about my glory.
About your glory.
The roster. So, yes. So, the starting rotation, I believe, I'm not going to say in an order, but the starting rotation will consist of Vince Velasquez, Jared Eichhoff, Aaron Nola, Jeremy Hellickson, and Clay Buchholz. The bullpen will be Eduardo Ramos, Hector Neris, Janmar Gomez, Joaquin Benoit, Pat Neshek, Joely Rodriguez, and Adam Morgan. Andrew Knapp, for the infielders. Andrew Knapp, Cam Rupp, Tommy Joseph, Cesar Hernandez, Freddie Galvis, Michael Franco, Andres Blanco, and Brock Stassi. And the outfielders, Aaron Altair, Daniel Nava, Howie Kendrick, Odubel Herrera, and Michael Saunders. So, yeah, not many surprises. There were pretty much the only 3 people that made the roster that were pretty much not locks to make it at the beginning of spring training were Adam Morgan, Brock Stassi, and Daniel Nava. Other than that, pretty much everybody the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's pretty much like what the roster we thought was going to be, but the main player, again, Jared's a psychic. Brock Stassi made the team. Just that it's awesome that he made it, and it was even more awesome when we saw the video that the Phillies posted. Yeah, the interview was fantastic with Scott Palmer. He, like, all the emotion comes out. I'm not going to say anything else about it because you just got to go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. Just amazing. Yeah,
it's pretty much on everywhere.
Yeah,
it's everywhere. Like it's on CSN Philly Voice. It's basically everywhere. But yeah, to make room on the 40-man, they made 2 moves because Adam Morgan was already on the 40-man, so they didn't need to make a room. They didn't need to make a room for him. But to make room for Stassi and Nava, they traded Alec Asher to the. Who they traded him to? I forget.
I believe the Orioles.
That's right. They traded. Yes, the Orioles. Yes, they traded Alec Asher to the Orioles, and they designated Tyler Goodell for assignment. So that opened up 2 40-man spots, and Nava, Stassi took them. So yeah, now they are going to be playing, like we said, with the big league club, which is always, especially Stassi, because he was obviously coming into the spring. If you asked, I would guarantee if you asked the majority of Phillies fans, like, who is Brock Stassi, most of them would not have known who he was, unless you are a prospect follower, a minor league follower / fan. Like, most people wouldn't have known who he was, and it's just like a really good story to see him make it up, because his father, I'm pretty sure, topped out at AAA, and I'm pretty sure he talked about that in the interview.
I think you're
so
right.
his father never made it. Yeah, his father never made the MLB, and then I think that's what kind of. I'm not sure if that's what exactly got him choked up a little bit. But that definitely contributed to it.
I think it was around that point where he started to get choked up, and then it was just all emotion from there. But yeah, I think that was about the time. But yeah, like you said, it's a great story, and I really hope that he's not like what Cedric Hunter was last year, where he had that great spring, and then the regular season started. But I don't think that's going to happen with him. Like, he seems like a really solid player and one who can stick around, especially with him being able to play first base.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you said, Stassi will be, assuming at least, he will be the backup first baseman to Tommy Joseph, and he will also serve as sort of a 6th outfielder. More than likely, he'll be just used as a pinch hitter. He won't be used like Aaron Altair will more than likely be used as like a pinch hitter in like every game, or like most games. But like Brock Stassi, he'll probably get used maybe 3-4 times a week, and then he might play first once a week, if that. And maybe once every other week, or maybe like once every 2 weeks, because you're also going to have your Andrew Knapp, who's going to need to get playing time. He could also play first, and Daniel Nava, he could play first. So first base is kind of like a open kind of backup job at this point. But right now it's Brock Stassi's mainly, at least. But he could also play left field, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only outfield spot he could play.
Yeah, and then Daniel Nava, he plays everywhere.
Yeah.
If you go on his baseball reference page and go to his fielding, he's played since 2010. He's played from 2010 to 2016, and he's played left field, right field, first base, and center field. He's played center field once, but yeah, we're more than likely going to see him permanently in the outfield. I could probably confidently say permanently in the outfield. He won't be. He probably won't play first base at all. Maybe a game or two throughout the entirety of the season. And it's not that he's a bad first baseman. He has pretty much the exact same numbers across the board in his fielding. Pretty much a 990 fielding percentage over left field, right field, and first base. So it's really like at this point you just expect him just to be outfield. He might DH in like in an interleague game away at the AL team, but generally he's just going to be a pinch hitter like Stassi, like Altair. Altair is more than likely going to be pinch hitter and defensive replacement because he is a very capable defender as well. So,
I feel like
a lot to look forward to there.
I feel like at some point during the year he could turn into like a platoon with Saunders just because of the whole lefty-righty matchups.
I could definitely see that.
Especially if he gets off to a hot start, which, if he plays like he has in spring training, they're not going to have much of a choice. They're going to have to play him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with him being a switch hitter. It's a very favorable situation.
Yeah.
With Nava. And he's a pretty good defender.
Yeah.
Like I said, he has a 990 fielding percentage since 2010 989 or something like that, but
He's pretty good. He's pretty solid.
Yeah, he's good. Like he's really consistent over like what he does. But yeah, so also a bit of a negative, I guess. Aaron Nola was, not that good this spring. But it is, like I said, only spring. So that's important to kind of note. There were a lot of people saying, like, oh, Aaron Nola is, he's back to... Well, after the first, I believe, maybe it was his second start of the spring. I forget which one it was. But he looked really well. Or he looked really good. And a lot of people were saying, oh, maybe he's back to, his minor league college days. Because he was always known for, like, to be a really, really good control pitcher. He always hit his spots and everything. And last season when he hit that dry streak, he was everywhere. And so he has been working on his changeup to get that back kind of into a groove. So are you worried at all about Nola, or you think it's just kind of spring jitters, back from injury?
I'm gonna say what I've basically been telling myself the whole spring is the fact that he's just Cole Hamels. He's going to suck in spring training, but he's going to be a beast in the regular season. Because I remember for years, everyone would freak out because Cole had a bad spring. And I'm just like, he always has a bad spring. Like, why does it matter? Like every single spring, Cole would have, like, a 5 ERA or something. And, like,
Yeah, and, like...
Don't die,
And, like,
Jared.
even with, like, Jared Eichhoff. I'm trying not to. And, like, even with Jared Eichhoff, like, he had like a really close ERA to Nola, if not higher, and he's really not, don't get me wrong. Like, they had two completely different seasons last year. Eichhoff went nearly 200 innings, and Nola went I don't even know how many innings, but not a lot. Missed almost not half the year, but about a third of the year, and he didn't look good for another good part of it. So I mean, really. I'm not overreacting, I'm not panicking yet, just because, like we said, it is only spring training. He was working on his changeup command a lot this spring. He threw a ton of changeups. I saw a number somewhere about how many changeups and how many fastballs, curves, and stuff he threw. And, like, he threw a lot of changeups. So I wouldn't really be too worried quite yet. But if he starts this season out and has a ton of shaky starts, I wouldn't really be surprised if he got demoted to AAA for a little bit, and we saw maybe Zach Eflin after he came back from injury, or Jake Thompson, or even Ben Lively, maybe Nick Pivetta make their MLB debut in the rotation. The possibilities there are widespread, but Nola should be able to figure it out. But if he doesn't, then there's a lot of different ways we can go.
Yeah, and I'm like shuddering at the thought of him getting sent down to AAA, just because, not even so much that I'm worried about him, as because I think he'll be fine eventually. Like I can't imagine him actually being a bad pitcher, because he's not. Like, we've seen him be really good. He has great pitches, and he has, again, like you said, he has great control. The thing that just annoys me is the amount of people on Twitter who just say, like, argument was made a lot with Vance Worley, and I'm not comparing Vance Worley to Aaron Nola, but he doesn't have that one great pitch, which is a BS statement for one, because his curveball is one of the best curveballs in the entire league. So I don't know where they're getting that from. It's just, these people look at a pitcher and they just, if they don't have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and they can't blow someone away, they automatically just think, well, he doesn't have great stuff. Like, since when did a fastball, having a 95-mile-an-hour fastball become the only requirement for having good stuff? Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, that argument, he doesn't have one good pitch, because I want to say he was, last season, he was, top 10 or so in the league with his curveball, and, even this spring, he's, in the top 5 in K per 9. Velasquez is 1, and then I think Nola was 4, maybe 5, maybe 3, honestly. But, and to strike people out, you need a good pitch, and he has a really good curveball. He doesn't have a terrible changeup. He just needs to work on it command-wise. And honestly, that's what he needs to do to really just get himself back to where he was.
Yeah, again, like I said, he has great stuff. I don't think that that's an issue with him, despite what some people are saying. If he just can, like you said, work on that changeup, his curveball is already one of the top curveballs in the league. Has such great movement on his fastball. It's so fun watching him pitch and using that two-seamer. The way he just can paint the corner sometimes, it's just amazing to watch. I can't imagine that not being the case this year. If he struggles out of the bat, it's going to be frustrating, but at the same time, I think you kind of have to look, again, behind the numbers and just kind of look at, okay, was he getting the calls in this game? Or, how many good pitches did he make, and it was just a really good job by the hitter? Just all these little things that some are measurable, some aren't, but I think there's this, people need to kind of look behind the wins and losses. 'Cause I know some people still actually do that. They still think wins and losses actually matter, which they freaking don't. It is a team stat.
Yeah, they really don't. Yeah.
I remember a few years ago.
Wins losses is.
Yeah, it's such a stupid stat, and I hate that some people still say 20-game winner. It's yeah, good for you. You won 20 games. What was your ERA? Oh, it was in the 5s. No, I don't care. Good for you. Your team bailed you out every single one of those 20 games.
Pretty much, yeah. Wins, losses is, like you said, it's a team thing. It's not an individual. One person is going to win a game. Sure, it helps. Sure, wins and losses in, a pitcher's stat kind of helps to say, okay, this pitcher, he kept his team in games, I guess, is what you could say. But, and like Kyle said, if you're a 20-game winner and your team, and you have a 4 ERA, then you are basically saying, yeah, my team bailed me out every single game. And that really doesn't take into effect, especially with all the sabermetrics these days and advanced metric stats. And it's just, insane, the lengths that one could go to measure how well a pitcher performed in, you literally do it pitch by pitch, start by start, inning by inning, week by week, everything. And it's just, that is what really makes a pitcher in today's game, at least.
And I'm going to use Cole Hamels as an example here. In 2014, he went 9-9, had a okay, again, like 9-9. Everyone looks at that and goes, "Oh, what a shitty season." Had a 2.46 ERA and had a 6.6 WAR that season, which was his best of his career. Actually, was tied for the best with 2011. So yeah, tell me he had a bad year that year. Like, come on, it's
exactly.
It's such a
That was
stupid
just
argument.
At that point, it's just offense. Like,
Yeah, like
the offense isn't doing anything. When you lose 9 times with a sub-3 ERA and a 6.6 WAR, yeah, that's not good.
he started 30 games that year, and he went 9-9, which is the theme of Cole Hamels' career. He would always just get screwed over by the offense. But no, he was a horrible
every
pitcher.
year. It felt like every single season he would have like a 500 or near 500 record because he would pitch like incredibly and hold the other team to a run, but then his offense would score none. And that would be that every single game. And sometimes the offense would score, but like most times they wouldn't, and he'd lose by a run. So that was pretty much Cole Hamels' career as a Philly, aside from like 08, because like they were, because we had like Rollins and Chase and all that. But
and even like 2012, surprising, he went like 17-6. Which how the hell did he do that? And it wasn't even one of his best years. Like 2012, even
I know, like that was like arguably like that year he was like, because obviously we still had Lee and Halladay, but like that year he was arguably like the best pitcher on the team. You're not going to take away from Halladay and Lee because they're Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee. Like they are two of arguably like the best pitchers to ever pitch. But Cole Hamels that year was just unreal. But yeah, like you said, every other year pretty much he just didn't get the help that he needed.
I remember there was this one game in particular, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the streaker game, or no, not the streaker game, but the goddamn guy who ran on the field and then got tasered. Mm-hmm. And he gave up like a home run right after that, I think. And game went at went to extra innings, I think, and then Chooch got the walk-off home run. Cole didn't get the win though. I remember being so pissed about it. And I think that was the main reason that I hated that guy who ran on the field so much. Not even for running on the field, just the fact that he ruined Cole's win. I remember the game that the guy. Well, that's happened a few times. But yeah,
I think I do remember that, but I don't remember like the details of it. But
yeah, I think so, but I could be very wrong. Please let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's whatever, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't always have to be right in life. We're humans. We make errors. Everybody makes errors. But yeah. So to talk a little bit about this season, coming up the 2017 season, we have a little series of questions here, that pretty much predictions for the season, and then one bold prediction at the end. So this season, so I'll kind of get your answers first, and then I'll give mine, and then we also got a guest answer, a guest responder. So yeah, first, who will be the team's best starting pitcher?
Kind of works because it goes off what we were just talking about. I say Aaron Nola.
You say Aaron Nola? Okay.
Yep.
Who will be the team's best relief pitcher?
I'm going to go with Pat Neshek.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of people, like, ever since, like, the WBC, and how, because he was part of the bullpen, and their bullpen was lights out
with that bullpen.
Neshek, Miller, all them. But I've seen a lot of people, because Neshek wasn't really ever, like, a guy who many people kind of looked at as a top-of-the-line reliever, but ever since the World Baseball Classic, a lot of people have been, like, this guy's pretty good. Who will be the best hitter?
I say Odubel. Just, I think with the year that he had last year and like the plate discipline that he's showing, it's I think he's gonna have a really like last year. People thought he was his breakout year. Nah, there are gonna be a lot of bad flips this year.
Oh, I hope to God there are a lot of bad flips. We already saw one where against Verlander. That one was.
Oh, that was
Verlander
sick.
did not like that.
Well, it's because it's Justin Verlander.
Yeah. Who will be the team's best fielder? And
Okay. I say Galvis, but if Crawford gets called up, I'll say him just because I don't know when he's going to get called up. I'm assuming he's going to be some point this year, but for now, Galvis.
AKA is going to be whoever the shortstop is.
Yeah, whoever
is going to be the
shortstop
best
is.
defender. Because Galvis is a defensive wizard, and so is Crawford. So it's really just between those two. Even though Crawford isn't even on this team yet.
Yeah.
So obviously each team gets guaranteed at least one All-Star. So who will be the team's All-Star / All-Stars?
I'm going to say Odubel, Franco, Nola, and maybe Genmar Gomez.
Okay, so you're gonna give us 4. Ooh, okay.
It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year.
Oh, I hope they all get in. So the team's surprise player.
I don't know if it really counts as a surprise, but I'm going to say Adubre Ramos. I think he's going to have a really good season, like be one of the best relievers in the game by the end of the year.
Yeah, he pitched very well last season. He kind of, I wouldn't say flew under the radar, but he wasn't as talked about as some of the other guys, just because coming into last season when he was on the top 30 prospect list coming into last season, and he was, I believe, number 29 if I'm not mistaken, maybe 28, but that was it. Like, he wasn't that high on our prospect list, and then nobody really knew like who he was when he got called up, aside from all the prospect junkies. But and then he pitched like really well for most of the season because he got called up in June, and then but yeah, hopefully he could have a really good year again. Who'll be the first prospect called up?
I'm gonna say either Jorge Alfaro or Zach Eflin.
Okay.
I just think like Eflin.
Eflin's gonna start.
Yeah,
He'll start on the DL.
Yeah, and I think out of like the pitchers that they are close, like the pitchers that are really close, I think they like Eflin just the best because of he's had a little bit more experience and a little bit more success than Thompson had in his short stay last year. So I think Eflin might be the guy that they go to first if they have an injury in the rotation or something like that.
Yeah. Who do you think will be traded at the deadline? Now you could say one, you could say no one, you could say one, you could say multiple.
I'm gonna say Nishek, Benoit, and Buchholz.
Okay, a lot of people are thinking Benoit, and I'm kind of on board with it. Out of the Gomez, Nishek, Benoit kind of trio of possible trades, I think Benoit is probably like the most likely to go, just because like he's like proven that he could do it. So I think that he'll definitely be a top contender. What will the team's final record be?
79 and 83.
Damn you. Okay, well that was my okay.
Sorry.
And then finally, one bold prediction for this season.
I'm gonna say they stay in wildcard contention until the final week of the regular season.
Okay, that seems to be a hot commodity, because there's no way we're gonna win the division with the Mets and the Nats, because they're just better teams at this point. Unless we're in contention and then could somehow get a decent player or two or pitcher to come through like a trade without giving up too much, and maybe get to the wild cards game, but I doubt it. There's too many solid NL teams: the Dodgers, Giants, freaking Cardinals, who seem to always be good. They're never gonna go away. The Cubs, obviously, the Mets, the Nats. It would take a lot. It would take pretty much everything to go right for us to be contending for the wild card, and then we would still have to beat the wild card team.
Yeah, I feel like even the Pirates could be in that group of teams.
Yeah, that's true.
And like I know because I know a lot of people have said, and we've said this a lot, that they are going to be at the very least wild card contenders this year. But I feel like a lot of people have them dropping off a little bit before sometime around mid-season. I really think that this team could go pretty far into the season and contend. That last week, I think, is where just all the kind of the pressure gets to them, and where it just falls off because of how young the team is, and that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna be so happy if they're in wild card contention anywhere near anywhere in September. If they're even under 10 games behind in the wild card in September, I'm gonna be so thrilled with that.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, same. And the thing with this team is I've seen predictions as to where they're going to finish in the NL East. I've seen literally I've seen third, fourth, and fifth, and it's just because the bottom three in the NL East, the Marlins, the Braves, and the Phillies. The Marlins on paper should finish third, but they are the Marlins.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing.
They did lose their best starting pitcher, a top 5 starting pitcher in the league, sadly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter who you're a fan of. It's
that
terrible.
was one of the shittiest things that's ever happened. Just
without a shadow of a doubt. But aside from that, they are the Marlins, and you'd never really know with them because they have always been that fluky team that they could get it really, really hot, but then they could also get really, really really, really bad and really, really fast, and they could just slide down a standing list like no tomorrow. But as for my answers, no, you go finish your thought.
I was gonna say I think the year after they won their first World Series in '97, they were the worst record in baseball. So the Marlins may have made no sense throughout their history.
Yeah, they really don't. So as for my answers, the best starting pitcher on the team this season will be Vince Velasquez. I feel like he learns that. Okay, I won't say instantly, but I will say that within his first maybe 10 or so starts, maybe 7-ish, somewhere in that range. So as we're starting to hit, the summer, he's going to learn that there are other ways to get people out rather than just striking them out. And he's going to work later into games, and everything's going to come full circle. He's going to still throw 97 and get people out he's still going to strike people out. He's Vince Velasquez. That's just who he is. But he's going to learn that he can also get people out on other pitches as well. So for my best reliever, I'm going to go with Hector Neris. This one to me, I just kind of see as not necessarily a no-brainer, but I see Neris as kind of far and beyond the best reliever on this team. He has the best stuff. However, I do agree with Pete Maccannon's assigning the closer role to Janmar Gomez. Aside from that last 2 weeks in the season when the entire bullpen just went to complete shit, he was great. He was really good. So I'm fine with Gomez, but I think Neris is going to be the best reliever. Best hitter, I am going to give best hitter to Tommy Joseph.
Whoa!
I really think that this is the year that Joseph kind of, he came up last year. Not many people really knew that he still really was in the system. But I don't know. I'm just feeling that Tommy Joseph this year really takes a step forward in his approach in his game. Best fielder, Freddie Galvis, J.P. Crawford. Team's all-stars. I'm gonna give it to Odubel Herrera, and I will give it to Michael Saunders. I feel like Saunders can be a very good player. He was an all-star last year, I believe.
Yeah. And then he just fell off the second half.
And then he just fell off the second half of the season. But honestly, I really do think that Michael Saunders will be an all-star this year again. And Odubel, I think he'll be a really good. The only reason I say that Tommy Joseph won't be an all-star while being the team's best hitter will be that like he's not gonna have like these crazy at bats like Odubel does. That's just not who he is. And then he's also not gonna have like these spontaneous kind of bursts like Michael Saunders does. He's gonna be more of like that year long consistent hitter. He's not going to hit more than 270, 280 at the most. He's also not going to hit 40 home runs, and he's going to strike out at a decent clip. But Michael Saunders and Odubel Herrera, and then team's surprise player. I'm going to say Howie Kendrick. A lot of people are really not pushing him out there a lot.
Yeah, he's kind of an afterthought at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could have a decent year because this is a really friendly ballpark for both fielding and hitting. Because if you figure, like, the outfield isn't huge aside from left center, and he doesn't, or aside from, deep center, and he doesn't play center. He plays left, so... yeah, I feel like he could do pretty well.
I definitely think that he could be a pretty good player this year. Like I'd like you said, a lot of people are kind of down on him, which I don't think there's really a need to be down on him. He's been a pretty consistent player. Like we know what he is, so I don't understand why people are down on him.
Yeah, he's really been like the same player throughout his career. Like he's with the Angels and the Dodgers. Like he's not a flashy guy. He just gets the job done really under the radar. Traded at the deadline, I'm going to say, okay, now this one might come as, this is kind of a bolder prediction, but I could see it happening. So I'm going to say that Benoit is going to get traded, Buchholz is going to get traded, and Cam Rupp is going to get traded.
Yeah, what?
So my thinking behind this is that, okay, so obviously the only two catchers that we have currently are on the 25-man roster are Andrew Knapp and Cameron Rupp. So Cam Rupp he's not going to be the long-term option for this team. Like there's no way he's going to be the long-term option with this team when there are two players below him who have, without a doubt, higher ceilings. Rupp has a lower ceiling hitting wise than Knapp does and Alfaro by a long shot, especially Alfaro. And also behind the plate, he's equal to Knapp, and Knapp might edge Knapp in that department, but they're neck and neck. But Knapp's hitting is a lot higher of a potential ability level, and Alfaro behind the plate, he has a gun. So I don't know. I feel like they could trade him just because I think Alfaro will be ready by the trade deadline. I just feel like he's really gonna just like step up in AAA. I still don't think he'll be the first prospect up. Which will be.
I don't think he will be either. But yeah, I understand your point now. Like, especially if Rupp gets off to a hot start, he's gonna be such good trade bait, especially for like an AL team, because
exactly
the DH ability for him. The DH plus the fact that he can play catcher and he's not going to be a liability to your team as a catcher, that's huge value.
Yeah, exactly. Like an AL team, I don't see how they wouldn't. Maybe like a Kansas City Royals, maybe the Tigers, because the Indians are probably going to win that division. So those two teams might be shopping. And obviously the Tigers were looking for a catcher because Brian McCann is their starting catcher. Or, sorry, James McCann is their starting catcher. But I'm not even sure who their backup is. And really, like, their bench isn't that good-looking. Like,
the Tigers are a bit of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, Alex Mora was battling for a bench spot with the Tigers. So, I could see it. I could definitely see Rupp getting dealt at the trade deadline. First prospect called up, however, will not be Jorge Alfaro. It will be J.P. Crawford. So, a lot of people are like, okay, well, JP is not going to be the first called up, but he will get called up in the regular season at some point, September possibly. But I don't know. I think that he's going to get called up a lot sooner than we expect, especially if one of Cesar Hernandez or Freddie Galvis is either scorching or underperforming, because then in that case you need to make a decision on it, and it would be a very favorable situation if one of them were scorching at the plate, because then you could maybe even deal with one of those two. So I don't know. I feel like it could happen and JP will get up soon, and even if like Brock Stassi struggles or just underwhelms, or somebody else on the roster just underperforms, even Daniel Nava, because like we said, Stassi can play the outfield a little bit, so you don't really need him to be like an infield guy. So you could bring JP and play him at short and possibly even second, like a little bit if Cesar needs a break or whatever. The final record, 79 and 83, like Kyle said, I had the same. And then my one bold prediction for the year, I didn't really give this one much thought, so I'm gonna kind of make this one up. I feel like I already kind of did do that with the Cam Rupp thing, but I feel like this is the year that they extend Pete Mackanin. I'm not sure how bold of a prediction that is, but
I could see it. Like, I don't think it's... I know a lot of people, when he was re-signed the first time, a lot of people criticized it, which I didn't really understand, because everyone's like, oh, well, we want the team to be contending, and I'm like, yeah, well, the team's not going to contend because none of the prospects are ready yet, so I don't know why you're wanting this team to contend at the moment. And for some reason they think that he's not a good enough manager that can have them contend, which after last year I don't have full confidence in him, but I think he can get the job done, and I don't think there's any rush to have him fired. Like, the team's record is not his fault, okay? Like,
No.
The team has just not been having enough talent.
Capable.
It's as simple as that.
yeah, and really, like, he just kind of seems good with just like handling of everything. Like, he doesn't get. I mean, it does kind of not ring a bell, but or sound off an alarm, but it does kind of not necessarily worry me, but it makes me kind of wonder like how tenacious of a manager he could be, because he only got ejected, I believe, once last season, which
And it was a weird situation, too, so it wasn't even like...
yeah, it wasn't even
yeah.
like a it wasn't like a thing where he like lashed at an umpire. Like, he got tossed. Well, it was because he was arguing balls and strikes, but it wasn't like a.
He didn't go
don't get
Larry
me wrong, it
Bowa on his
wasn't
ass.
exact. That's what I was. Yeah, he didn't go Larry Bowa. So, yeah, I like Pete Mackanin, and I think he can. I think they'll extend him this year. If they don't, it'll be next year probably. If they continue to improve and all the young guys continue to, improve and take strides. But then we also have we also have a guest responder to the questions. Bobby Mirth from Philly Long Drive as well. We asked all of our friends, and he was the only one to get back to us. I mean, it was late notice, because we are college students in the end, and that's just who we are.
We procrastinate a lot.
But, yeah, so Bobby, he said the best starting pitcher will be Jared Eichhoff. Hector Neris will be the best reliever. The best hitter will be Michael Franco. The best fielder will be Freddie Galvis. The All-Stars will be Michael Franco and Michael Saunders. Now, he has Franco in there as an All-Star, which I don't think is going to happen, but I could definitely see it happening. Especially if he takes leaps, or especially if he takes steps forward from last season. Because don't get me wrong, last season it was not the best for him, but when he came up in 2015, he looked incredible for that short time. So honestly, like, if he gets back to that and just keeps up his power, I could see it.
Yeah, Franco's such a weird case, because I feel like when you look at his numbers from last year, it's like, 25 homers, 88 RBIs, that's pretty good. And then everything else, like, if you watch the games last year, you're just kind of like, how did he have that many home runs? He did not hit that many. He didn't drive in that many runs. What is going on in life? This is the Twilight Zone. So he was so conflicting last year, but I think if he turns into what Odubel turned into in the first half of last year, which was just like play discipline supreme and drawing all these walks, then I think he's an all-star. If he doesn't do that, though, he's not going to be. I think he's going to have a better year still, but if he can just stop swinging at all those bad pitches, then he's going to be a really good player. Like, he has all-star, like, everywhere else, he's an all-star. So, if he can just do that, if he can just stop swinging at everything, then he'll be an all-star.
Yeah, and Matt Stairs is definitely getting help with that.
Absolutely.
You know, Matt Stairs, he's been on the staff for a few months now only, and he's already, like, you could already tell, even with, like, Aaron Altair, he told him he kind of suggested that he lower his hands a little bit. Look what Aaron Altair did this spring.
Exactly.
He helped Mike Franco, you know, stay patient at the plate, you know, not jump at everything, work the middle of the field, and he had a pretty good spring. He didn't hit the greatest average, but he had a good spring. And then we're going to have the next question, which was the team's surprise player. He has Aaron Altair there, and then the first prospect called up, he has Nick Williams. I could see that definitely as a possibility. The only thing that I see that could conflict with that would be that they would need to send both Nava and Stassi out at the same time and bring in Quinn and Williams, because then it would be a tie for first. But I don't think Williams will be the first up. I could see it maybe, but I think Quinn will be the first outfield prospect up.
Yeah, Quinn, just because of his speed, like, if anything else, Roman Quinn will just create absolute havoc no matter what, because pitchers will be so terrified that he's going to just get a swinging bunt base hit, because, good lord, he might be the fastest player in the MLB. Like, fuck Billy Hamilton. Roman Quinn is, like, the world's best. He's the world's best kept secret. Like,
oh, without a doubt.
Oh my god, he is so good. If he could just stay healthy and just stop getting hurt.
Like, I think the only reason that they're keeping him in AAA to start the season, well, Daniel Nava had a very good spring. Yeah. And obviously you're not going to base it off one spring. He's had a little tiny bit above average career. You know, he's not the best player, but he's not, you know, freaking David Lowe or, you know, Cedric Hunter.
Oh god, David Lowe.
Yeah. But like, he just needs a little bit of polishing, and if he stays healthy and polishes his game a little bit, I see him up pretty quickly. But I'm still gonna stick with my JP as first prospect up. And then he has Howie Kendrick getting dealt at the trade deadline. Also sense. A good possibility, because then if he gets dealt, assuming that Daniel Nava is already gone, because I don't see Nava sticking around the whole year, whether it be trade or just DFA'd.
Utility bats are way too valued. Like, there's just so much value for those guys. Someone's gonna pick them up.
Yeah. So yeah, somebody will pick him up, Nava, eventually. It'll probably be an AL team, in the end. And then for the final record, he has a very optimistic prediction at 85 and 77.
Look, Jesus!
I hope. That would be fantastic. I don't think it'll be that high. I see their win ceiling at maybe 82 games. They'd go at 82 and 80.
85. Oh, Bobby.
Yeah, I hope. I really hope. And then his one bold prediction is that they will make and win the wild card game.
Holy shit, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby's going crazy today.
Like, I'm very optimistic about this year, but...
medical support. We may need medical support to Bobby ASAP. We're not too sure if he's... I mean, I hope. Look, I hope.
Yeah, like, I really hope that it works out like that, but... I can't see that. There's... Oh, you need Franco to be what I said and more. You need Odubel to be more than what he was last year. You need Noel to be lights out. You need Eichhoff to be lights out, basically, and Vinny. There a lot of things are gonna have to go right if that happens. It's not like the most crazy thing that I've ever heard in my life, but it's up there.
Oh, without a doubt. It's like the possibility of that happening is low, but if everything goes right, then it's certainly a possibility. Like Kyle said, you would need pretty much the entire rotation to be incredibly good. But then the thing is, like, if you want to deal Clay Buchholz, then are you fully confident in Zach Eflin, Jake Thompson, Nick Pivetta, Ben Lively, any of those guys to come up and fill that fifth spot? And then are you also going to say, okay, well, let's keep the whole bullpen, let's, keep our young lineup late into a season with only a few veterans and Howie Kendrick and Michael Saunders. So, it's a really, really optimistic record prediction and bold prediction in that they'll make the wild card and win it. But it's baseball. Anything could happen. It's not baseball is really the one sport where if everything does go right, like in basketball and football, like if things are going to go right or if they're not coming into a season most of the time. But baseball, it's like, well, you have like a group of young guys with a pretty solid pitching staff. But then they have a couple of veterans who you're not 100% sure what you're going to get out of. You have a bunch of young guys who you're not sure what you're going to get out of. And it's just like, they could go, 70 and 90, or they could go 90 and 70, whatever. But I hope they go 85 and 77.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be freaking fantastic.
It would be amazing.
It would be fantastic.
Yeah, really, I'm just amped for the Phillies to start playing again. I'm just amped for baseball to be back because that's the one sport where, like, you don't have to be, like, physically engaged for an hour. You could kind of chill for 3 hours and watch, or like 2.5 hours and watch. And, like, that, I don't know, I just like that, and I like the daily thing about it. Like, don't get me wrong, like, basketball is awesome to watch. Hockey is fun to watch. Football, it's still fun to watch. If you're watching the Eagles, in my case, but or the Super Bowl. But I'm just amped for baseball to be back, and I really just can't wait. This will be going up on opening day. The Phillies will be playing the Reds.
Sir. not the
They'll be playing the Reds. They'll be playing the Reds for the first 3 games at Cincinnati, and then their home series opener will be against the Nationals. I hope if they sweep the Nationals on the first series of the year, that'd be fantastic.
Bro.
They did sweep the Nats one time last year, but then they got, like, swept, I think, like, twice.
Yeah, they got curb stomped afterwards. That was...
Yeah, they upset the Nationals last season, but, yeah, so that'll really wrap it up for the Phillies.
Actually, I want to make a point about April 11th is the second game in the Mets series, I think? Yeah, second game. And I am actually going to that game, so... that'll be on a Tuesday, so I will have... I'll do a little thing on the episode that week and just kind of share what I saw in that game, and I'll probably do an article about it too and stuff like that. So I'll probably post it on Philly Long Drive, and I'll post it on The Good Fight, and just check that out then when it goes up. It'll probably be around like midweek, like Thursday or Wednesday or sometime around then after the game.
Yeah, so definitely read that. That'll be great, because who doesn't like going to Citizens Bank Park? It's fantastic. It's a
Best
fantastic
ballpark in the
place.
league.
Without a doubt, we need an all-star game there soon.
It won't happen for a while, sadly.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that'll do it with the Phillies today. And as we did last week, our new little ending to the show, to the podcast, to the show, yeah, to the podcast.
Whatever it is.
So, yes, so this week is my turn since I introed it, and that's how we're kind of doing it. So we are doing sort of a hot take segment at the end. And okay. So this is my hot take, okay? So as we saw last night, so Friday night, the UConn women's basketball team lost to Mississippi State on a buzzer beater at the end of regulation to end their 111 game winning streak. To me, this was probably one of the best things that could have happened for women's basketball. Sure, it's great to see a winning streak like we have witnessed for the last 3.5 years, but you need competition in everything. It's econ 101. Competition in everything is better. And while it's, really intriguing and just fun to watch them just kill everybody by 50 a game, I'm so happy that Mississippi State beat them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not happy that it was Dak Prescott's school, but
yeah,
fuck that. But it was a really, really good thing for women's basketball, just in general. Not even just women's college basketball. They just need. Hopefully, this shows everybody else that okay, they can lose. Like they're gonna lose at one point or another. So yeah, that's my kind of take on it.
It sucks because I do agree with you on this. We need we need one of these times for us to disagree on it. If I'm gonna play devil's advocate to this at all, it's that the whole tradition argument, which it's a lame ass tradition, but oh well, they've always been good. That's how it should always be. Which is just it's a stupid argument, but at least that's all I got in terms of playing devil's advocate to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I completely agree. It, like you said, competition is everything. And when one team, whoever, if I'm gonna use this in a motorsports kind of comparison, if one driver is winning all the time, it's not fun. If one team is winning all the time, it's not fun. So, Mississippi State doing that is one of the greatest things that I think is actually going to happen. Because, again, no one ever beats them. It's every single year.
Yeah, never.
Why do you think the men's tournament gets so much publicity? Why do you think that there's so many people watching it? Because any team can win. When was the last time we had back-to-back? Yeah, probably Kentucky is the last team to win back-to-back just because Kentucky is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, and even you watch the men's tournament, and sure, there's 2 1 seeds in the Final Four. I think the game's probably over between, because we're recording this on Saturday, and I believe, yes, Gonzaga did beat South Carolina, so Gonzaga's in the championship game, but there were 2 1 seeds in the Final Four, but then there was a 7 seed and a 3 seed, and I think in the women's bracket, it was all because I know Mississippi State was a 2 seed. Obviously UConn was I don't know why I just said Wisconsin. UConn was a 1 seed. I'm not really sure the other teams that are in it, but I would assume they're probably 1 and 2 seeds, just because that's pretty much, yeah, it was literally UConn and Mississippi State were 1 and 2, and then South Carolina is a 1 seed and Stanford was a 2 seed. And that's why that's why the men's games always get more publicity, is because you see 7 seeds in the Final Four, you see 13 seeds making the Sweet 16, and etc. So, like we said, competition, you need it to prosper in a thing, and I feel like that's what's missing in the women's game right now. And if once they do get some competition other than UConn, they'll be fine. Like that, women's basketball will. It's basketball one way or the other. It's men's basketball is the same as women's basketball. It's the same goal. It's just that the competition in men's basketball is more prevalent, while the women's game is just UConn, pretty much.
Yeah, like UConn has been the only team to ever do anything the past however many years. I can't even name how long it's been, but it's ridiculous amount of time. But like you said, we have, the 7th seed South Carolina, which is such a great story, but just, like, that's the thing. You get stories like that. Back when Steph Curry was still in college, Davidson, like, everyone was like, holy shit, Davidson's trying to make the championship game. I forget how far they got, but they got pretty far, and that was one of the greatest stories, because, like, oh, look at little old Davidson. Like, we don't get that in the women's game. It's all just, oh, well, good for you. You may have, like, whatever. If a seed upsets another, it's like, who cares? Everyone's still gonna get curb stomped by freaking UConn, so who cares? But when an upset happens in the men's, it matters. Like, you think, holy shit, they could go the distance because of this one game, because it's so wide open.
Yeah, exactly, and it just has like a kind of sidetrack here. I'm seeing a tweet that Michael Neuwirth is awake and alert, so that
Very
is
good.
great.
That is great.
Yes, so that is great. If you don't know what we're referring to, Neuwirth collapsed during the first period against the Devils on Saturday, the day we're recording this, Saturday night. It was scary. We were watching it, and it kind of just happened. Like, we were like, what, like, is he, like, unconscious? Like, what happened? And, yeah, so that's very good that he's awake and alert, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was one of the scariest things that I've ever seen on TV, so.
Live TV, yeah.
Just,
like, I've never seen.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But, yeah, so. The women's game just needs more competition, and hopefully Mississippi State's win over UConn last night will kind of propel it in the right direction.
I have to think it will. I can't imagine a scenario where it doesn't, just because now all of a sudden every team gets a little bit more confidence the next time that they play UConn. Like, imagine whoever plays UConn the first game next year, they're going to be so hyped, because they're going to be like, hey, Mississippi State beat them. Like, we have a chance. It's not... Mm-hmm. We actually, like, have motivation to play this game now.
Yeah. And, it's just... You need it. They really did need that kind of upset in the women's game. Even though a ton of people probably would have wanted to see UConn win it. They just... It was needed in the women's game. And on that note... as long as, Kyle, you do not have any other topics, random things you want to talk about, I have come to the end of what I possess in my, tabs on my laptop.
Yeah, that's everything for us. Thank you again to Steph Driver for coming on. She was fantastic, and we hope to have her on again sometime. Just an awesome segment with her. And we will see you again next week, where we will be recapping the first 2 games of the Phillies season, which, hell yeah, baseball's back for real now.
Yes.
And it's going to be excellent. We can finally talk about fun things instead of the Flyers, even though they're winning right now, so, of course. But on that note, I'm Kyle Fry, and this is... I just completely screwed up that intro, or that outro. Oh, good lord.
We're keeping it. We're keeping this. This
God
is in the end. I'm Jared Palo. We will see you guys in episode 11. Thank you for listening, and peace out.
Bye.
They do. Fly ball, left field, tagging from third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rupp hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Cameron Rupp hangs on!
Wow.
Everybody to their feet. What a play by Cameron Rupp. The throw took him into the baseline. He grabs it, hangs on, takes the contact, and the ball game is over.